Some news coverage of the latest 2020 census results may have led you to think the white population in the U.S. is shrinking or in decline. The actual story about the country's biggest racial group is more complicated than that. And it's largely the result of a major shift in how the U.S. Census asks about people's racial identities. Since 2000, the forms for the national, once-a-decade head count have allowed participants to check off more than one box when answering the race question. While the 2020 census results show fewer people checking off only the white box compared with in 2010, there was an almost 316% jump in the number of U.S. residents who identified with the white category in one or more of the other racial groups. Their responses boosted the size of a white population that includes anyone who marked white. The new census numbers also show that the more broadly defined white population did not keep pace with the rise in the numbers of people identifying with other racial groups over the past 10 years, with one exception. Some recent analysis of the new census data, however, has homed in on a more narrowly defined group with falling numbers, people who only marked the white box for the race question, and did not identify as Hispanic or Latino, which is not a racial category according to federal standards. There are a lot of complications involved with how we categorize race, including the white population, says Jennifer Richeson, a psychologist at Yale University who studies racial identity. Why are many of us so interested in watching what's happening with this specific group of non-Hispanic white Americans? It's puzzling to me that we are so concerned about it. For decades in the news media, a population the Bureau recently described as white alone non-Hispanic has become synonymous with the white population of the United States. But the country's ever-changing ideas about race and ethnicity are continuing to push academics, policymakers and other members of the public to reassess whiteness and the census data used to redraw voting maps, combat racial discrimination, guide federal funding and inform research and planning for the next 10 years. Here are other reasons why the story the 2020 census results tell about the white population is not as straightforward. You may think the Census Bureau has to follow an official definition of white that is set by the White House's Office of Management and Budget. It says anyone with origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East or North Africa should be categorized as white in federal government data about race. Still, census data is not necessarily a reflection of every U.S. resident's family tree. This information is produced through how people report their racial identities themselves, and they may have different concepts of who is white, which can be influenced by notions of white privilege, skin tone, and other complicated factors.